hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
On any given day, members of Brethren Volunteer Service can be found providing hospitality for families of people in prison, serving in local soup kitchens and homeless shelters, building houses for those without shelter, and walking in solidarity with sisters and brothers living with mental illness. We are reminded in the New Testament that we are all members of one body, serving one another in our most basic needs for food and shelter and companionship. These are the ways that Brethren Volunteers show that we are all connected. Hello, I'm Brent Carlson. Welcome to Brethren Voices. For most, the time after completing high school is a time that a high percentage of youth are considering getting a job or making plans for continued education. For some of our guests, that was not in their plans. Instead, they chose to do a year of volunteer service. I'd like you to meet Toni Egner and Jasmin Sprengel. We also have with us Alex McBride, who took a different route of getting his college education first prior to doing a year of volunteer service. Alex, Toni, Jasmine, welcome to Brethren Voices.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Lea Kroener is another volunteer of Brethren Volunteer Service in Portland, Oregon. Lea is a very energetic and positive person dedicated to helping others, but she could not be with us today because she's been ill this past week. So we'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourselves. Alex, would you like to go first? Tell us where you're from and why you chose to be a Brethren volunteer for a year.
Sure. So I'm from Elkhart, Indiana, northern part of the state, and reason I chose to volunteer for a year, I just graduated from Manchester University last May, and still trying to figure out what my future plans are, what type of career I would like to go for, grad school, and also wanting to give back to the community for helping me so much during getting me to where I am today. And I've known about Brethren Volunteer Service through Church of the Brethren, and thought it would be a good gap year to help kind of find myself, and as well as helping others. So I work at SnowCap Community Charities. It's a food pantry, an emergency food supply to those who need it. I work mainly in the warehouse pantry part of the building, and so I do a wide variety of things, helping to restock the pantry, help processing donations that a lot of wonderful people donate, so helping to get that processed. I've helped to set up for special volunteer group, like big volunteer groups that come in. I've even helped shop clients around the pantry.
Alex, am I right that at SnowCap, people aren't just given a box of food, they can actually go through some shelves and pick the kinds of food they want?
Oh, yeah.
Depending on the size of their family, they have an allotment, but they don't have to get buttermilk if they don't like buttermilk, or white bread if they don't like white bread.
Yep. And that's one thing that's really nice about SnowCap, is that it kind of feels like a shopping experience, even though it's different. But we have a bunch of food options out, and they can take basically take what they would like, and they don't have to take food items that they aren't going to use, or isn't going to be eaten, so that someone else can be able to take that and enjoy it. And so it's a very nice system that we have.
Great.
Alex has a very physical job working in our warehouse. He is a big part of when our donors come to drop off donations of food or clothing. He's the one that oftentimes greets them. He makes sure that inventory is correct by weighing in, keeping logs of everything that comes in, just like any of our staff would do. He also is the support person for our pantry volunteers. So when a product, food is running low on the shelves, he's going to make sure that it gets restocked. He's also going to fill in all manner of ways, because our volunteers provide all of the direct service at SnowCap. And so for sometimes a volunteer might be injured or unable to lift some of the heavy things, and Alex is in there to help lift those things and make sure that, that all of our volunteers can serve.
Toni Egner, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you chose to do a year of volunteer service with Brethren.
So I'm Toni. I'm from Frankfurt in Germany. After graduating from high school, I thought that all my life was only about me and my family and my education. So I decided that I wanted to give something back to people who don't have these privileges and who maybe cannot have as a good education as I have. So I decided to do that and work with homeless people.
Jasmin Sprengel,
Yes.
tell us about yourself and where you're from and why you chose to do a year of volunteer service.
So I'm Jasmine. I'm from Hamburg in Germany. And after high school, I just wanted to go 1 year abroad, but I didn't really know how to do that and where. And then a friend of mine told me that she was with BVS 3 years ago in California for 1 year. And she worked in a homeless shelter. And then I thought that's a good idea. And then I applied, and now I'm here in Portland.
Toni and Jasmine, it's an amazing thing for you to do this right out of high school in a place that you've never been before and don't know much about except for what you've read and perhaps seen on TV. So tell us about what you're doing and where you're volunteering and what the agency is like, and what are your experiences so far?
I work at Sisters of the Road. It's a cafe in downtown Portland where especially homeless and people with low income can come in and volunteer, work for 30 minutes up to 2 hours, and have a meal and enjoy being in a community, be accepted, and have a family.
I've heard that if you don't have money, you can still eat at Sisters of the Road and do some volunteer work to pay for the meal. Is that done
Yeah.
very, very often?
That's right. We have volunteers every day. That's how our cafe works. So, for example, you can sign up to volunteer and be at the coffee station and hand out coffee to people. And after 30 minutes of work, you get a ticket which is worth $3, and you can pay your meal with it. And one meal only costs $1.25. So everybody has a chance to actually eat with us and be there.
So if I came from the street and just walked in, I could have a meal for $1.25?
Yes. And we have a system of hospitality. It means if you come in the first time, you will get a meal for free. And if you are pregnant or you come with your children, you can get a meal for free as well. So we have different services to help people.
Yeah, Toni's amazing. Honestly, day one, she showed this outgoing energy to just get to know people. I think that's what she's the best at, is just meeting folks where they're at and learning people's names and stories and sharing meals. Sometimes, when you have volunteers, you have to kind of ask them, hey, do you want to get lunch in the cafe today? And she, day one, was just ready to sit with folks and get to know them, get to know their first names, get to know their coffee orders. She just has this natural enthusiasm. Oh, we absolutely rely on Brethren volunteers every year. It would be, I honestly don't know how we would do this work without them. They come in and I think they offer this level of vulnerability and honesty, and there's this newness, and every year they build these great relationships, and at the end of the year they have all of these new friends and these new communities. I think, we absolutely rely on them.
Jasmine, you're working for a very different kind of company that's nonprofit. Tell us about the company, an organization you're working for, and what do they do and what do you do?
Yeah, Human Solutions. I work at Human Solutions, and Human Solutions is a really big company, and they help with a lot of things. For example, rent assistance or housing, and we have a lot of homeless shelters. We have a family shelter and a women's shelter. And I work at the utility department, so I help people paying their bills, and everyone can apply, and it just depends on the income. And yes, I do that.
So the utility bills are for people who have a place, but they don't have enough money to pay their rent and all of their expenses, and
Exactly.
so they need a little help.
Mhm.
So, okay. Each of you went through a 3-week training program before you came to your site,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think you all went to the same training, did you?
No.
Okay. Could you just tell us a little bit of what that 3-week orientation training is like? And maybe, Jasmine and Toni, did you go the same one?
Yes.
Maybe talk to us about what your 3-week training was. Where was it and what was involved?
So it was a 3 weeks orientation it was near Chicago. We had different workshops and trainings about differences of America and to our home countries, or about racism and sexism and how to deal with different things, as well about our faith and religion and beliefs and why we want to do what we're doing.
Jasmine, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think it was really interesting, and it was not that what I was expecting when I came here. And we had in Germany, we had also an orientation first. So that was really different.
Sounds like it was a lot about the American culture and about what as a volunteer, kind of what to expect a little bit and things like that.
An interesting thing was we came here to the orientation without knowing where we will end up. So during these three weeks, we had to decide where we want to go. So we had different files with projects, and for me, I saw the Sisters of the Road project, and I totally fell in love with this one. So I decided to kind of apply there and had an interview with this project.
Wonderful. Did you have the interview before coming to Portland?
Yes.
So it was on the telephone?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jasmine, how did you pick Human Solutions?
I first also applied for Sisters of the Road.
Oh.
And then I also applied for Human Solutions, and it was first a women's shelter, but then they told me that the women's shelter didn't need anyone else more. And yes, then there was the energy department, and then I had the phone interview with them, and then I was really happy to go there.
And so they have lots of volunteers at both of those organizations. So there's different slots that are open at different times when they need help. Alex, tell us about your orientation.
But very similar. It's like a crash course on, learning about basically getting used to, cultural differences, getting used to, things that we might encounter as volunteers, as well as like social experiences, a lot of like meditating about, how we are, how we're feeling. Even small things of like, preparing, learning how to make more with less when it comes to food. It's like a challenge. We're given so much money, and we go with food groups to a grocery store, and we have to try and make a meal for the entire group with that amount of money. And so you're just figuring out how to, even eat well on a budget. And so a lot of things like that.
Before we continue about your experiences with Brethren Volunteer Services, we're going to hear a message from Heifer International.
Hi, I'm Alton Brown, and I used to have a goat. Where did my goat go? Well, it went to a family who really needed it, just like the heifer cow I used to have and the water buffalo, which was really too big for my place anyway. Now, why send livestock? Why not say tractors? Because giving an animal is like giving someone a small business. All that wool, the milk, the eggs turn into income for medicine, school, clothing, a better home, a sustainable livelihood. It even produces fertilizer for crops. And of course, it makes more livestock, because animals make baby animals. That's what they do. The next thing you know, the family that you gave your gift to is passing on the gift of the animal's offspring to another family who does the same thing, and so on, until pretty soon you have helped to lift an entire community out of poverty, all with your gift to Heifer International. That is a recipe for lasting change.
Well, we were talking for a little bit, you were talking about cultural differences. Toni and Jasmine, what are you finding different, or the biggest difference from Germany to Portland, Oregon?
I think the weather is really the same, but I think it's just a big difference is for me it was the cars and the streets and that stuff, because in Germany you don't take the car so much and you see a lot of people who take the bike, and here it's more everyone takes the car, and yeah, that was a big difference for me, and the food also.
So the first thing I noticed here was that here are definitely more homeless people. I've never seen tents on the street where people live in. I've never seen so many people surviving outside. In Germany we have a different health system. We have a different system about homeless people and how the government deals with this issue and how they help the people who need more support than others. So it was kind of scary to see that and shocking.
That's actually another question I wanted to ask, because we do have a lot of homeless in Portland, and actually in a lot of cities around the United States. And there's all kinds of reasons for that, one of which is the economics of housing. And you haven't had homeless people kind of in your face as we do.
So in the beginning, I didn't really know how to interact with homeless people because I never got to meet them. I never got to talk to them before. But I realized that a lot of people judge other people for living on the street, and that's not fair to them. There are often really bad circumstances why they are where they are now, and they are humans like we are, and they all have good hearts. They have really interesting stories to tell. There are funny people. I actually call some of these people my friends now. And in the beginning I felt uncomfortable sometimes walking home alone in the dark, where a lot of people have been outside as well talking to me, but now I think I'm already used to it, and I feel safe now.
Also, it changed a lot when I walked through the streets. In the beginning it was really shocking for me, and it's still shocking that we have a lot of tents, but I look at it in another way now. And I don't really work with homeless people, I work with people on low income, but we have a lot of people who were homeless before and now get housing and get our help with their utility bills so that they don't get homeless. Yes.
So you're meeting people who have been on the streets but are now getting more stabilized in a positive situation.
Yes, and I'm always happy to hear that story and that there's hope.
Good. Do you have people that come back more than once to get help with their utility bills?
Yes, we have people with every story, people that are here for the first time and people who come to us for years, 10 years or more. And then we have people who say, oh, it's my last time because I get a new job, and that's good to hear sometimes.
Do you think you're making a difference? Are you happy with the jobs you have?
I think it's definitely not changing the world what we do, but it does bring an impact and it does make a difference, definitely. I see so many faces who are just happy to talk sometimes, to let their emotions out, and then after that they can smile again, and they appreciate people just listening to them and giving them hospitality, being friendly, because often they don't experience it on the street, unfortunately.
I would agree to them. I would not say that I change the lives of the people, but I think that I can sometimes change the day, and that even makes me happy, because for example at my work, I mean, they still have the same job, but if I help them paying their bill, they don't have to worry about the bill this month anymore, and maybe they come back next month, but for this month they are happy for that.
At least this month they know they're going to be okay.
Yes.
I think it was Mother Teresa said, we can't save the world, but we can save people one soul at a time. So I think you're doing that. I think you're doing that.
Volunteers, even though they're oftentimes very young, they show a level of maturity, the preparation they receive at orientation before they come to our site, is it's really great, and they're willing to learn sometimes basic life experiences. Oftentimes it's their first time they've lived away from their parents, and so we really make sure that we're available to assist them with some of those things. And they really they come to us mature, but they really leave very, very much adults.
The four of you are living in a house, in an intentional community. You're having to learn how to work together, how to cook together, how to do things. Who does the cleaning? Who does the dishes? How do you get along? What happens if there's issues? Or what? Tell us about what it's like.
Of course, it's different than living with your parents anymore, because if the fridge is empty, the next day it will still be empty if you don't go to the grocery store. But I think that's how we grow and how we become adults. So I'm happy to move out and live with you guys.
So you're finding it's a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Toni?
For me, being independent now and making my own decisions is the most important thing. Of course, I miss my family and my friends in Germany, but this experience here to actually feel like an adult and not like a child anymore is great.
So you have a schedule for doing the dishes and cleaning the house and shopping?
We created a schedule for who's bringing all the trash or who's cleaning the floor. But for example, dishes, we just do all our own. And
Okay. So taking out trash, how about cleaning the bathroom?
I think we have to get a little bit better at this
cleaning.
in communication, but I mean, we're still learning, so I think that's okay.
Of course. Do you find you get enough support from the local Peace Church of the Brethren?
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yes.
definitely.
Enough support, but not too much interference? Would you say it's a good balance?
I feel like
Yes.
it. Yeah. You know, they have.
Does somebody come and meet with you once a
Yes.
month?
We have 2 members from the church will come once a month we'll have pizza, and we'll share supper together, just to catch up about how the month's going. And it's nice as like for a group meal for all of us to interact and I guess process everything we've gone through. It's a short time, but it's a nice reflection time for us.
What's been surprising to you? I know you talked about it was surprising to see so many homeless. Have there been any positive surprises?
Like the first day I saw Mount Hood, the Mount Hood just pop out in the distance, and my mouth just kind of dropped for a bit, and I just stood there staring at it. It's like just how beautiful it was. It's like it's not. I've seen mountains before, but it's a sight for me that doesn't get old, I guess. Yeah.
Toni?
Surprising for me, or what I haven't expected, is to find a best friend and live with my best friend together and share all my life and share the same bathroom, share the same room where we sleep in. We share a room, so it's kind of coming home and tell the person how you feel, how your day was, and what was good, what was bad. I think that's a really positive side effect that I wasn't planning with.
Do you have a sister?
No, I don't have.
So now you have a sister.
No, I have a sister.
Oh, wonderful. Jasmine?
For me, the same like Toni.
No sisters at home?
No, I just have one brother. So yes, and also for me the nature. Like yesterday, we were on the Cannon Beach on the Oregon coast, and that was really impressive. And yeah, I never saw so many mountains in my life. So, because my hometown in Germany, we don't have mountains there. So.
And I'd like to add that we do our volunteer work without getting paid. We get a little stipend so that we can buy food and we can afford living here, but we can't really afford to travel a lot or do a lot of fun activities. And that's an experience as well, to live on low income like the people we work with. And I think it's good that we make this experience. But of course we don't get the chance to see all the places we want to because we can't pay for it.
Jasmine, Toni, Alex, thank you for being with us on Brethren Voices. We've really appreciated talking to you.
Thank you.
We're also, I'm wondering if you would be willing to come back in 5 years to tell us more about how this experience has changed your life, and if we pay for the plane ticket.
Definitely, yes.
And if you're in Portland and we don't have to pay for the plane ticket, we're probably going to want to interview you as well to see how it's going.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just as our relationships with one another call us to work for justice and peace, so do our relationship with the earth call us into active service. During orientation, volunteers learn to live lightly on the earth, consuming less and reusing more. Volunteers serve across the world with organizations dedicated to reducing pollution, fighting global warming, introducing responsible agriculture, and planting trees, reducing fuel consumption, and other things. Whether it's living simply and using our portion of the Earth's resources responsibly, or working with people committed to changing the ways we relate to the Earth, BVS takes caring for creation seriously. Thank you for joining us on Brethren Voices. This is Brent Carlson,
This is Jasmine.
This is Toni.
This is Alex.
wishing you peace. And get well, Lea.
Let it shine. Every day in some little way, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day in some little way, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day in some little way, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All colors, shapes, and sizes,